The more we explore our universe, the more meaningless our lives appear to be. You and I are a speck on a rock circling a tiny star in a galaxy among billions, and yet we still deeply want to matter. This creates a terrifying question. How do we create meaning when nothing around us offers it? Personally, there have been moments in my life when I have looked around and seen nothing but a void. No purpose, no meaning, just cold, indifferent chaos and suffering. And honestly, in my worst moments, it has almost broken me. But oddly, fully accepting the idea that there is no objective meaning or purpose to the human experience has given me more peace and comfort than anything else I have ever believed before. Welcome to Progress Theory. My name is Garrett Stevenson. In this episode of the podcast, I'll be exploring the various reasons why the human experience seems increasingly meaningless and how we can find and create meaning despite this. Now, the central question that this episode is attempting to answer is what many would consider to be a bold claim. Not everyone agrees with the claim that the universe is objectively meaningless. The traditional source of meaning for pretty much all of human existence so far has been religion. Religion has been the main lens in which we understand the world around us and our place within it. And throughout human history, the world as we understood it, as our ancestors understood it, was very small and revolved completely around us. Early Homo sapiens developed very basic stories for understanding reality. They were dropped into this massive, confusing universe with no understanding of why they were there, what they were supposed to do, how to live their life. And they developed stories in order to understand this, in order to give the experiences they had, the suffering that they had to go through, a purpose. And they derived these experiences, they built them off of, and they were confined by the limited things that they experienced. As human civilization evolved over time, the scope of these stories evolved in tandem. Various religions developed, always centered around one or many very human-like gods. And the scope of the universe as we understood it increased slightly over time, but all of these stories still created the picture of a universe that was centered around Earth and us. This development makes perfect sense. No human throughout the entirety of our timeline had any hope of understanding the scope of our own planet, much less the universe as a whole. To put this into perspective, I think it's useful to briefly look at the timeline of our species. The earliest signs of any sort of cultural development that anthropologists and archaeologists have found occurred around 80,000 years ago. The earliest sign of the development of civilization and agriculture was around 12,000 years ago. Much sooner. The earliest signs of any sort of record keeping and writing, which is pivotal for actually transferring ideas accurately between generations and across distances, was around 6,000 years ago. The earliest start of widespread heliocentric adoption was the time of, it started with Copernicus around 500 years ago. And the birth of the scientific revolution, of the modern day scientific revolution, which was the foundation for the society we live in today. It was the foundation for everything we believe about the universe today. It occurred around 400 years ago. Based on these estimations, for the first 79,500 years of the 80,000 years that human culture has existed, our understanding of the universe and our place in it was almost entirely confined to our own planet, if not small parts of our planet. Our ignorance about the scope of our universe resulted in us continuously creating and believing and stories that placed us as the center of everything and gave humans a grand meaning. In the last 500 years, this has shifted dramatically. We have gone from believing that the entire universe revolves around Earth and was little more than the solar system around us, to believing that we are a tiny planet revolving around a small star in a galaxy of hundreds of billions of stars in a universe of hundreds of billions of galaxies. For many people, the stories that served as our original source for human meaning and purpose, they simply do not work anymore. We know too much to believe that we play a central role in the universe. Our rapid increases in scientific understanding has largely been amazing for humanity. It has improved the average quality of life for every human being alive across the planet, even if it has not increased it evenly. It has been the bedrock for the technological development that is completely responsible for the modern day way of life. But it has come with very unfortunate side effects. The stories that provided human beings throughout all of our history with a sense of purpose, meaning, and importance are becoming less and less believable. As we lose our belief in these stories and recognize the true scope of our universe, we are losing our sense of meaning. The statistics on religion in the modern world support this. In America, a number of people who would consider themselves religiously unaffiliated has risen from 16% to 30% in a span of 20 years. And year after year, this number keeps rising. My point in saying all of this is not to speak against or ostracize religion in any ways. I am not making the claim that any of the major religions that are followed by millions, if not billions of people today are incorrect. I have nothing close to the perspective or wisdom in order to make that claim with any level of certainty. And if you hold a religious belief that gives you comfort and meaning and fulfillment, then I am happy for you. I'm happy that you have that in your life. But whether you currently hold a religious belief or not, there has been a very clear, drastic shift in the human story that has occurred. We went from beings who existed at the center of our universe and who played a central, defined role in its purpose, to beings whose entire existence is so tiny in comparison to the scope of the cosmos as a whole that we might as well have never existed in the first place. There is a very real chance that we never leave this planet. Our civilization collapses. Where we are today, or where we are in the next 50 years, is the peak of what humanity achieves. There's also a chance that we do. We solve all of our problems, we leave this planet, we venture out into the stars, we become an intergalactic species. That is a way more exciting and inspiring future to me. But even if we do become a spacefaring species, our impact on the universe based on our current understanding will ultimately result to nothing. No matter how long we last or how far we explore, our civilization and our species will eventually die. The universe will continue on without us, completely indifferent to the fact that we even existed for billions, if not trillions of years, and will ultimately end in cold, dark nothingness. This is all based on a current scientific understanding. Just how science works, there's a very real chance that our current understanding is partially, if not completely, wrong. But even if our understanding is wrong, what it reveals about our place in the universe seems very clear. To say this bluntly, we do not have a cosmic purpose. There's no grand meaning that we are designed to fulfill. As human beings, we are a tiny, insignificant byproduct of cosmic evolution whose entire existence will have no impact on the universe as a whole. The deep hole that is created as these traditional belief systems break down is one that can have very problematic consequences. For a variety of reasons, we are beings who are intrinsically wired to crave purpose and meaning. We want to feel like what we do here matters. If it doesn't, then the inherent discomfort and suffering that exists in our lives seems unbearably overwhelming. And history has shown us countless times that human beings who lack a sense of purpose are very susceptible to hedonism, addiction, nihilism, hopelessness, and immense, horrific cruelty. The existential hole created by a deep sense of meaningless cannot be tolerated. We can't sustain it. The pain that it brings is unbearable. And so we look for solutions. Addictions, hedonism, trying to climb the status hierarchy as far as you can go, trying to develop as much power, trying to conquer other humans. Those all offer temporary respite. They do work on a moment-to-moment basis, very temporarily. But ultimately, they will all result in immense destruction, both in our lives and the lives of the people around us, as well as a gnawing, inescapable feeling of emptiness. A philosophy that arose to address this problem is called existentialism. And its foundational idea is this: there is not and never has been an objective meaning to human existence. Instead, we create meaning through the stories we tell ourselves and the things that we do. One of the founders, if not the founder, of existentialism is named Viktor Frankl. He was a clinical psychologist that survived for years inside the concentration camps in Nazi Germany during World War II. And the experiences he had in those concentration camps led him to write Man's Search for Meaning, which was a book in which he attempted to answer a very powerful and important question. What was the primary difference between the people who made it out of the concentration camps and the people who didn't? Obviously, there were very tangible physiological reasons a lot of people died. Excessive wounds, illnesses that could not be healed, unsustainable malnutrition. There are a lot of reasons that people died. But Frankl noticed a very clear pattern. The people who perished in the camps usually had reached a point in which they felt their existence was devoid of any sense of purpose. They lost all hope in a better future, and they felt that the entirety of their existence and all the suffering they were experiencing in the present moment had no point at all. He noted that there was a clear spiritual death that occurred in people before there was a physical one. And he could usually tell when one of his fellow prisoners had lost his or her sense of meaning and could very accurately predict their death in advance before it occurred. Frankl ultimately determined that one's ability to survive in the midst of horrible circumstances and find purpose in their existence was ultimately determined by their ability to find and create meaning in their experiences. And he, throughout the book, noted 3 very specific ways of doing so. The first is pursuing growth or a goal, having a major objective to strive for, especially when this objective is tied to someone's personal experiences, their individual talents, or their passions. The second is in our relationships. He noted that the community around us, the people we love, is one of the strongest sources of meaning available to us. Specifically, loving and serving the people in our community creates immense fulfillment in our own lives. And the last source of meaning that he identified was suffering. Suffering, as he saw it, could be a source of tremendous meaning as long as we're able to attach a powerful story to it. Identifying how our suffering is contributing to our own growth or someone else's growth, or how our suffering is bettering the lives of other people or reducing the amount of suffering they have to feel, imbues it with a sense of meaning that makes it infinitely more bearable. The core idea that existentialism is founded on is one that is becoming more and more important as humanity is shedding the original belief systems that gave us a sense of meaning and purpose. The idea that objective meaning does not have to exist for us to create a strong sense of purpose in our lives is becoming vital, given that more and more people are starting to believe in an objectively meaningless universe. Frankel's insights on how to create meaning have become even more powerful as our understanding of the universe and our microscopic place in it has increased. For instance, focusing on and valuing the pursuit of growth and goals rather than the completion of any specific goal or achievement is brilliant advice that perfectly aligns with our modern day understanding of the world around us. The more we have ventured into our own head, the more we try to understand our brains, the more obvious it becomes that we are not designed to feel lasting satisfaction. Hedonic adaptation all but ensures that any boost of joy, happiness, fulfillment, satisfaction that you experience when you get the thing that you've been chasing forever, when you finally become what you want to become, it will fade very quickly, and you will go back to feeling exactly as you felt before in a matter of hours, days, weeks at most. Our impact on this planet and universe will ultimately fade to nothing. No matter how much status we gain, wealth we accumulate, power we build, you and I will die. Our legacy will be built over by future generations. And there will be a moment, whether it takes a year, 10 years, a million years, where someone remembers us for the last time. Our attempts to escape this might slow the process down, but there is no way to prevent it. Focusing on and valuing the process of pursuing growth and goals is incredibly powerful because the process is a thing that actually affects our day-to-day life. And the day-to-day experience of our lives is all that we actually have. Moving on to his second insight, focusing on creating, deepening, and serving relationships with other people is becoming far more important as we become a more individualistic society and our communities break down around us. Our brains crave community. It was very evolutionarily advantageous for us to be a part of one. People survived longer. They had a greater chance of reproducing if they had people around them that looked out for them and cared for them. So we are wired to want to be connected to and around other people. We all, to some extent, feel a deep pain and discomfort when we are truly alone. And speaking from my own experience, if we are only living for ourselves, it is far easier to give up. I am someone who struggled a lot with regressive, destructive behavior. I've made a lot of poor choices in my life. And most of those choices were made because I felt that they were only really affecting me. I didn't think I had an impact that really mattered. I didn't think the things I were doing negatively affected other people. It was really only me who was suffering as a result. And if it was only me, I could bear that because I felt like I deserved it, or at least I could justify it. It was my decision to bring that suffering onto myself. Having strong, close relationships with other people deepens the stakes. These relationships suddenly mean that our actions have a real effect on the people around us. When other people's well-being is even partially dependent on us and how we show up in the world, everything we do seems to matter a little bit more. And finally, finding purpose in suffering is becoming far more important as the scope of suffering that exists on this planet becomes more clear and observable to all of us. Suffering is an intrinsic part of the human condition that has been obvious to every human being who's ever existed. From the start of writing and record keeping, suffering has been a subject that human beings have been interested in. But never before have we been exposed to human suffering on the scale that we are today. The internet and the global connectivity that exists in the modern world is the reason that we have developed so much technological and scientific advancement. It's the reason why the quality of life has increased. But it's also exposed us to horrendous suffering going on every day in remote parts of the planet that we never would have been aware of before. Up to 200 years ago, all of the suffering that exists outside of our immediate environment would have been completely unknown to us. but today it is impossible to escape or ignore. So, learning how to find purpose and opportunity in inevitable suffering is a legitimate skill set that can very much change the way we see the world and the way that we respond to and incorporate the suffering we experience. This will make the unavoidable suffering that we all face far more tolerable and sometimes even beneficial for ourselves and other people. Viktor Frankl and his insights in Man's Search for Meaning are incredibly powerful. They absolutely still stand up today completely. But personally, I think there is a more all-encompassing source of meaning and fulfillment that incorporates all of his insights, and it is positive impact. As already discussed on this and other episodes of this podcast, all accomplishments fade to dust when you extend your perspective. Legacy and lasting impact are, on a long enough time horizon, delusional. The scope of the cosmos ensures that no permanent legacy or impact can or will ever exist. However, impact does not need to be permanent to be important. We don't exist in the future. We never will. Every human being alive exists within this present moment, and our lives are just a finite series of present moments. What we feel and what we experience in this moment matters, even if it doesn't last. The past and the future will always be inaccessible to us. Our understanding, the idea of the past and the future are and always will be entirely conceptual. We cannot access them. Any sort of thought we have about the future or the past is a reconstruction that will never be actualized. The entire extent of our lives exists in the present moment. Definitions matter a lot, so I want to be very specific here. From my understanding, my definition of positive impact refers to the process of enhancing the joy and fulfillment and reducing the suffering found in the present moment, in the present experience of as many people as possible. As a general rule, people want to feel joy, peace, love, safety, a sense of importance. They want to feel better within their own lives. And these feelings make the human experience far more fulfilling, enticing, and enjoyable. So finding ways to create these feelings for other people will substantially improve the only thing that they actually have, the present moment they experience. Each of the insights that Frankl gave can directly contribute to positive impact. For instance, the pursuit of growth and goals, especially growth that blends your unique experiences, talents, passions with something that has a clear positive impact on other people that makes their lives better by reducing their suffering or enhancing their well-being, that improves the present moment for both you and other people. When it comes to community, people deeply crave feeling loved by and connected to other people. As much as some of us don't want to admit it, it is true of all of us. So focusing on and serving the people around us satisfies this craving, both in you and them. Trying to serve and love others makes you feel more connected to them, makes you feel more loved yourself. And when it comes to suffering, identifying how the suffering we experience can help enhance the well-being or reduce the suffering of other people or of ourselves. And learning how to capitalize on these opportunities that you identify gives suffering a sense of purpose that is incredibly inspiring. The more we understand the cosmos we reside in, the more obvious it becomes that our universe lacks any inherent meaning. On a cosmic scale, nothing we do matters. However, we don't exist on a cosmic scale. We exist on a human one. The fact that our experience will end does not eliminate the value of every single moment that we have. Everything you feel in this moment matters. Everything you feel in the series of moments that make up your life matters. All the pain, sorrow, suffering, joy, peace, fulfillment, and serenity that we all experience in each moment matters deeply, because the entirety of our existence takes place within these moments. Even if there's no universal purpose for our species, and our impact on this universe in the end equates to nothing at all, there is immense meaning to be found in our own lives by focusing on enhancing the well-being and reducing the suffering experienced in the present moment for as many people as we possibly can. This has been episode 6 of Progress Theory. If you have made it to the end of this episode of the podcast, please know that your time and attention is very valued. I always want to emphasize that. I always want to encourage it. If you enjoyed what I had to say, if you agreed with me, please leave a like. That definitely helps get the message across, get more people to view the videos. Please comment and tell me why you agreed or why you enjoyed it. Those comments are very encouraging for me at this point in the process, and they are very much appreciated. Also, if you disagreed, if you found no value in what I had to say, I always love to hear that as well, because I could be entirely wrong about everything I am saying. I could be wrong about everything I believe. And if that is the case, I'd like to know why. And regardless, discourse is fun and engaging, and feedback is very helpful for me as I try to build this up and increase my understanding of the world. So please leave a comment if you disagree. The next episode of this podcast is going to revolve around the root of all addictions, which addiction has been something that has had a very substantial negative effect on my life. It's something I've learned a lot about as I've tried to overcome those problems and mitigate that destructive effect. So I'm pretty excited to make that episode. It's something that I have a lot of experiences that have shaped my opinions on. So please subscribe if you're interested in hearing that episode or hearing other episodes like this one in the future. And as always, I hope you experience all the growth and progress that you are looking for in your life. And I will see you in the next episode.